Welcome to another Ask Katrina. The question today is, Katrina, how do I stop beating myself up for mistakes that I have made in my career? That's a powerful one, isn't it? You know, I'll share a little something about me because if I share this with you, you will probably identify with it and then we'll be on the same page. Fair? So I can tell you things that I have done throughout my life at different ages and phases of my life that I will still remember and go, I can't believe I did that. Now, I used to be able to remember those things with much more clarity than I have today. And it's not because I'm older and I'm forgetting things, okay? It really isn't. Because we all know that the things that we want to remember, we will remember. And I used to tell myself that I didn't want to forget those mistakes or those embarrassing moments because I wanted to be certain that I was never going to make that mistake again, that I was never going to have that issue happen. I was never going to be embarrassed in that way ever again in my life. That's what I used to tell myself. But the reality, and what I quickly have realized, actually, let me take that back. It wasn't quickly at all. What's taken me years to realize, and I'm finally practicing it, is that I don't need to remember those things. I've learned my lesson, right? I've never made those mistakes again. And it wasn't because I continued to remember them time after time after time. It was simply because in that moment, I made a decision that I wasn't going to be that person anymore. I wasn't going to show up and act that way anymore. I learned how to make a better decision. And because I learned that, I became a new person in that moment. And so I didn't have to worry about making those mistakes because I wasn't the person that made those mistakes anymore. And so I can't make those mistakes again, right? The person that existed when those mistakes were made doesn't exist today. I've grown from them. No, the reality and why I continue to remember them is because I wanted to beat myself up. And I just wanted to relive the pain because I felt like because I made that mistake or because I had that embarrassing moment that I deserved to relive that pain. And that isn't true. I deserve to live the pain because I told myself if I relived it, I wouldn't make the mistake again. That's not true. Like I said, I'm not going to make the mistake again because I'm not that person. I just chose to keep suffering and reliving the pain when I didn't need to. I'd already learned the lesson. So that is the nugget here. Don't beat yourself up and relive the mistakes because you think you need to. You're not going to make those mistakes again because you've learned, right? That's the key. We have to learn from our mistakes. We have to grow from them. We have to become a different person because of them. We have to intentionally say, whoop, I learned. I will not make that mistake again. I will do this instead. I'm not doing this. I will do this. It's very intentional conversation and dialogue that we have within ourselves. And once that dialogue is had, we let it go. Because anything happening after that is us really just being a masochist to a degree and just beating ourselves up and being hard on ourselves and suffering for no valid reason other than the fact that we tell ourselves we're deserving of that and we have to treat ourselves that way because it's the only way we're going to grow. Now, the other thing that I will tell you is you're listening to this and it sounds really good and you're like, yeah, I hear you, Katrina. That makes logical sense, but it's not going to work for me. I'm going to continue to beat myself up. Okay, fair. I love the fact that you're honest with yourself. So then do this. I want you to look at certain situations where something happened and you didn't make the mistake again. Right? It could have been falling off your bike as a kid. It could have been driving for the first time, the first maybe accident if you've ever been in a car accident, little fender bender. Think about the things that you've done that you don't beat yourself up over. You simply learned the lesson in that moment and you've never had that problem again, not because you're hard on yourself, but because you simply learned. And you did allow yourself to move past it. There are tons of examples. Tons of examples. You don't remember them because you're not beating yourself up over them. That's the point. You have so many more examples of where you've tried something, learned something, did something, overcame, and you didn't beat yourself up over it, and you're striving through, because it happens every single day. So understand that you're learning lessons without beating yourself up. There's no need to do that. Pull some examples out of your life where that's the case and use that as your truth. Anchor your truth to that instead of the situations where you're beating yourself up, and then you can let that go. You can stop giving yourself a hard time for mistakes, acknowledge the fact that you're human like the rest of us, and move forward. If you'd like help with that, if you want some training around that for your total team, send me an email, info@legendleaders.com. I'd love to connect with you and talk about what we can do to support you here at Legend Leaders. As always, go and be legendary.